We are in second unit. Yeah, second unit. Last class we were discussing about some topics of second unit. Today also we are going to discuss some more topics in the second unit. Second unit basically tells about the architecture, the core of embedded system, core of an embedded system, right? See, if we talk about core of embedded system, see, core means inside anything. Like if we take core of our computer, what it consists of? It consists of memory, it consists of motherboard, it consists of microprocessor. All of these, all these are core of the computer. In the same way, if we take any embedded system, it should have some core. Suppose if we take an vending machine, coffee making machine, see the wall which we get coffee, the, the slot where we place the points, these are not the core of an embedded system, right? See, what is the core of the coffee machine? There may be some motherboard, there may be some processor. That is what core of the coffee machine. Here also, if we take embedded system, any kind of embedded system, not only the coffee vending machine, right? If we take any embedded system, it should have some components in its core, right? Without those components, we cannot call that as core of an embedded system, right? We cannot call that as embedded system. If we don't have any microprocessor, that is not an embedded system. If we are not having any microcontroller, that is not embedded system. If we are not having any digital signal processor, any kind of digital signal processor, that is not an embedded system. At least we should have small ICs, integrated circuits. That may be ASIC, application specific integrated circuit, PLDs, programmable logic devices, right? All these are simply these ASIC or PLDs are COTs, commercial off-shelf components. These can be called as, in general terminology, we can call that as IC, integrated circuits. In general terminology, they call it as chip. Chip. It is not hollow chip. It is what electronic chip in general terminology. Without at least having any what chip, we cannot say that as an embedded system. In last class, we were studying about these these ASICs, these PLDs, these DSP processors and all, right? Whenever it comes in this presentation, I'll skip the topic, right? Why? Because we have already studied it in the last class. Okay, right. Now, what are the elements of an embedded system? Like I said, for every system, it should consist of input, it should consist of output. Here also, for any embedded system, we have IO ports for giving input or inputs. We have, sorry, it is input ports, not IO ports. If I say IO port means input and output ports. See here, what I am having, what we are having IO ports where we can give input. See, here we can connect keypad, we can connect touchpad, we can connect keyboard, we can connect any kind of sensors. All those things we can connect through these ports. Okay, what about output ports where we can connect all the displays, LEDs, where we get output like printers, if we have some plotter, all those things we connect at the output side. System port, here where we have to place the microprocessor, where we have to place the microcontroller, where we have to place the DSP processor, where we have to place the ASIC, where we have to place the so-called chips, electronic chips, right? That is the system core. We need not to place microprocessor and microcontroller and ASIC. Any kind of microprocessor, any kind of microcontroller or ASIC or DSP or anything. If you want to keep, we have to place at this part system core, right? What about memory? We may have single memory, RAM, ROM, flash memory, cache memory, any kind of memory. Even if you want to place two types of memory, RAM and ROM, we can place here RAM. What is RAM? Random access memory, read-only memory. This kind of memories we can place. Next, what about other devices? If you want to connect any other kind of devices, if you want to communicate with the other embedded system, we have to place any kind of communication device. If you want to collect the data from GPS, we need to have. If you want to collect the GPS coordinates, we can have what GPS module, right? That is the importance of other devices where we can connect all those devices. If we have any other devices like if we have any advancements in the technology, right? See, if you want to communicate through GP, through Bluetooth, through Wi-Fi, here we can connect all those kind of devices. We have provision for that. This is what we have discussed in the previous class. The embedded hardware or software systems are basically designed to regulate physical variable or manipulate the state of some devices by sending some signals to the actuators or devices. See here, what is actuators? Actuators. Suppose if you want to on some motor, we need to connect actuator. If you in the case of uh, car, automobiles. See, if the accident occurs, it needs to open the airbags. Then we have to connect these actuators. Hence, the embedded systems can be viewed as reactive systems. See, what is the reaction here? It opens the airbags. That is the reaction when accident occurs. Keyboards, push buttons, switches, etc. are the examples. The common user interface input devices. These are the input devices. LEDs, liquid crystal displays, piezoelectric buzzers, all these are the examples of output devices. LEDs means displays the output, or LCD, liquid crystal display, where we can display the output. Next, piezoelectric buzzers. Suppose somebody breaks our door, what should happen? The alarm should ring, the buzzer should ring whenever earthquake occurs. What should happen? It has to indicate by ringing some buzzer. That is what piezoelectrical buzzer are the examples of common user interface output devices for typical embedded system. Remember, all these are inputs and outputs. Whenever it comes in detail, we have to study it. Some embedded systems do not require any manual interventions for their operations. See, suppose if we take any coffee vending machine, we have to go there physically. We have to do some inputs like I need cappuccino coffee, I need American Express coffee, I need to have 1 cup of coffee, 2 cup of coffee. Then I have to place that cup under the wall which where we get the coffee, right? This is manual intervention. In some case, if we take some robot, in all the cases, it is not needed to have manual intervention, right? It does automatically. If we take any factory, it packs all the packets, it labels it, it colors it, it puts in a packet. All those things will be done without having any manual intervention, right? Suppose if we have implemented some automatic watery kind of devices where we get where the form get water when the temperature decreases below the value. In that case, the manual intervention is not needed. Whenever the temperature increases above 35 degrees, automatically the water from the motor will start. There, the manual intervention may not be needed. Right? The memory of the system is responsible for the holding control algorithms and other important configuration details. Memory, we have to program it. Configuration details means we will put it in the form of program. An embedded system without the control algorithms implemented memory, that is having all the peripherals but not capable of making decisions depending on the situations as well as real world changes. I told you about the watering example. In the control based embedded systems, the controller may contain the internal memory for the sorting the control program, a control algorithm. See, all these algorithms controlling everything we do in what manner? We do in the manner of program. Such controllers are controlled without on-chip ROM. Example, see, in all the cases, we need not to program inside the ROM, right? Inside the ROM, we need not to program. In some cases, we can program on chip. That means, see, if we take ASIC, application specific integrated circuit, ASIC, see, it is looks like a IC. In this case, we need not to connect any external memory for smaller applications. We need not to have memory. We can directly program here. We need not to have external memory. We need not to have ROM to program it. We can directly program it here. That is what it is telling. See, core of the embedded system. If we leave IO ports, input and output ports in this diagram. See, if we take this diagram, what is the core here? This is the core here, right? So if we take this core, system core, what we have to place here? See, last class we have already discussed about this. Again, I am repeating. I'll skip wherever it is possible. So we have to place either microprocessor, microcontroller, digital signal processor, or ASIC, application specific integrated circuit. Suppose it is different for AC, it is different for traffic light. According to application, the IC will change. Like why it is so. See, if we take AC, typically one input, one output is enough. For example, I am saying it is not 100% right. For example, I am saying one input from the remote, one output to the cooling system is enough. If we take traffic light, if there are three roads, three inputs are needed, three outputs are needed. One is for red light, one is for green light, one is for yellow or orange light, right? In this case, three inputs are needed, three outputs are needed. Here, one input is enough, one output is enough. That is what application specific integrated circuit. What is the advantage of this application specific integrated circuit? It saves the money, it saves the size of the system, right? So if we decrease three total six pins to two pins, automatically what happens? The size of the integrated circuit will decrease. See, for example, I am saying this. It is physically, practically, we will not have any IC which consists of only one input, only of one output, right? See, here we have to connect some power that is there. We have to connect some ground for any integrated circuit. We have to connect some power supply. We have to connect ground also. Without power supply and ground, the integrated circuit will not work. Okay, that is about application specific integrated circuit. So cost will decrease, the size will decrease. If we take PLD, programmable logic devices, what happens if you want to implement small logic like what suppose if we are having one water tank, if we are having two motors which fills this water tank, which fills this water tank, right? Two motors, two water lines we are having. See, what my logic is, whenever this water tank filled completely, the motor should be off. The motors should be off. This is your logic, right? So, how many motors should go off? Two motors, not one, right? Whenever this water tank filled completely, so it is one kind of logic. It may be OR logic, it may be AND logic, it may be NOT logic. This two motor should go into off condition. For this logic, what we have to place? We have to place at least some IC integrated circuit in between the tank and water tank and the motors. Right? This motor power lines should be connected to this what? This integrated circuit. This water level indicator should be connected to this what IC integrated circuit, right? So inside this IC, what we have to place? We have to place some logic, right? It may differ. See, if we take this water tank here, the logic is somewhat different. If we take any intruder theft alarm, there the logic may be different. If we take traffic light, the logic may be different, right? So, so depending upon the logic, we have to program this integrated circuit. For that, what we have to use, we need not to use application specific IC. We can use, but which one is better? Programmable logic device is better in this case. So we can take PID. We fill that integrated circuit with some small logic. We program it. We can use as per application. Then if you want to remove that integrated circuit, we can remove it. Again, we can program it. We can use in another device, that is the use of PLD, programmable logic device. See, you may have studied like PLDs are two types. One is PAL, second one is PLA. What is PAL? Programmable array logic. What PLA? Programmable logic array. I'm not going to discuss in depth about this PAL and PLA, right? See, understand these topics. These topics are important for your interview point of view also. Whenever you go to some interview, some uh, what some software company which manufactures electronic devices, right? There they may ask these kind of questions. What do you know about PLD? You have to answer this, right? Next, what is commercial off-the-shelf components? See, I told you like commercial off-shelf components means, see here. Suppose in your suppose if we take your mobile phone, See, if we buy Oppo mobile phone or Vivo mobile phone or any kind of MI mobile phone, Redmi mobile phone, right? Inside your mobile phone, there will be some processor. See, if we take Vivo will not manufacture the processor of your mobile phone. They buy that processor from Qualcomm. They may buy that processor from Samsung, right? So Qualcomm is a company which sell its processors or controllers to another companies, another OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, right? So they design these processor in commercial aspects. So if we take some processors like to use in your project, if we take some ICs which commercially we can purchase, which we get in better price, which we get at for better specifications. These are what COT is. Directly we can buy that, right? We can use in our project. We need not to uh, purchase the integrated circuit from the empty integrated circuit from the market. We need not to program it from the scratch, right? So that is the advantage of these COTs. If you want to have more information regarding COTs, what are the vendors are COTs, in what way it is available in the market, you can do Google and you can get more information related to this. See, general purpose and domain specific purpose. All these are different types of the core systems where we can use. See, general purpose means what? See, this processor can be reprogrammable. If you want to use in washing machine, we can use that in washing machine. Then you can remove that, right? You can erase that program, again reprogram it. You can use it in somewhere else, right? Domain specific means what? See, suppose if we take a processor which process only signals, raw signals. That means what? Uh, if we take any processor where we can use in the communications like radars, like the satellites, like to decode the signals, we cannot use that processors in our computers, right? If we take some processors where it process the videos and all, we cannot remove that processors. We cannot use that processor for we cannot use that processor in data science applications where it can analyze the customer data and all. That is what domain specific. If we allocate that processor for specific domain, like biomedical instrumentation, we cannot use that processor for defense applications. If we use that defense applications, we cannot use that processor for satellite applications. We cannot use that processor for extraterrestrial applications. Right? We cannot use that processor for weather forecasting applications. That is domain specific processors. See, you know what is microprocessor, right? It comes from 4-bit processor. What is 4-bit processor? Where it process only 4 bits at a time. If we take 8 bits, it processes, it does what operations with 8 bits. It can do addition of 8 bits, it can do subtraction of 8 bits. Like after that, 16 bits came, 32 bits came. Like nowadays, in olden days, uh, they used to Pentium processors, Pentium 3, Pentium 4 processors. After that, dual core processors came into existence where the processor will have two cores. That means two processors combined together After that, quad core came into existence, where we have four cores. Same, it is one. It is one processor. If it is quad core, we have four cores. That means here one core, here one core, here one core, here one core. Like inside one processor, microprocessor, we have what? Four independent processors. Then this particular processor is overloaded with the work. It gives to this particular processor while it performing some work, some other work came. This processor will be allocated. It will follow some priority concept. It will follow some multi-threading concepts. Like inside one processor, we get the advantage of four processor at a time. What about octa-core processor? Octa-core processor. We have what? 8 cores. How many are there? Yes, 8 cores are there. That is the concept of octa-core processor. Instead of getting the advantage of one processor, we will have 8 processors. See, these concepts are important for your interviews. They may ask questions like this. Next, what is Harvard architecture and von Neumann architecture? Very important. See, if we take any building construction, we say like it is Persian architecture, it is Mongolian architecture, it is what Italian architecture. If we take any building, Persian architecture, Mongolian architecture, Italian architecture, Japanese architecture, Chinese architecture, Indian architecture, right? Islamic architecture. All those are what different styles, right? Here also, whenever we take the architecture of any system, embedded system or your computing system, it follows typically either Harvard architecture or von Neumann architecture, and it may follow CISC mechanism and it may follow RISC mechanism while executing the instructions. See, so why it has to follow either CISC or RISC? Either CISC or RISC. See, while coming to college, we may use our personal bike, we may use RTC bus, right? We will not come to college by walking. If we come by walking, what happens? We will not reach the college in time. We have to use either our bike or we have to use RTC bus, right? So RTC bus is a different concept. Own bike is a different concept. Both are for what? Both are for reaching the college fastly in time, right? If we use RTC bus, what happens? We 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 are we need to spend some 10 to 15 rupees ticket or 20 rupees ticket, right? It carries what? Lot of passengers. RTC bus carries lot of passengers. So that will get the ticket in less price. If we use what our own bike, we need to spend some 100 to 150 rupees for fueling our bike, right? So In our bike, it hardly carries one or two or three persons, right? But we can reach more fast. There we have to spend lot of money. We need not to wait for anybody. We will reach the college very fast. If we take RTC bus, what happens? There we need to spend less amount compared to our own bike, right? We have to wait in each and every stage, every stop, right? We have to sit along with 50 more passengers, right? So it has its own advantages, disadvantages. Bike has got own advantages and disadvantages. Here also, SISC is a different mechanism used to process the instructions. RISC is also a different mechanism used to process the instructions. So all these concepts are very important for your knowledge, for your interviews, right? These topics I'll be explaining in your next class, right? Today's strength is very less, right? So this Harvard architecture, one human architecture takes at least 15 minutes. Then again we'll go for risk analysis, right? What is risk? Reduced instruction set computer. What is this? Complex instruction set computer. This is what we are going to discuss in the next class. See, I'll be giving, I think you have received material of embedded system. You have received, what? Handwritten notes, right? Before coming to the next class, I try to give important questions in the first unit, right? Try to answer those questions, right? Take any notebook or papers, right? Write all those questions. Try to answer those questions. Take any material. It may be lecture notes, it may be handwritten notes. Try to take any material, right? Try to answer the questions. It will be useful for your end examination point of view. Still now, we don't have any clarity about your mid exam, right? We may have in 5 or 10 days, right? Most probably it will be online. I'll be giving some objective type of questions. You need to answer those questions, right? At the same time, I will be giving some assignment. Assignment you have to write your own handwriting. You have to write all your roll numbers. You have to scan it. You have to convert it into PDF. You have to send it to me so that I can do the assignment marks. This is the end of the class. We'll be continuing in next class.